The massive view screen aboard the UES Hawking erupted with light as the Aetherian ship dropped out of hyperspace. Dr. Sarah Chen felt her breath catch in her throat. After 20 years of searching the cosmos, humanity had finally made contact with an advanced civilization. The alien vessel before them defied conventional physics, its crystalline structure seeming to exist in multiple states simultaneously. "They're hailing us," announced Commander Rodriguez, his fingers hovering over the communications array. Audio and visual. Dr. Chen straightened her lab coat, acutely aware that she represented not just the scientific division, but all of human scientific achievement. Except the transmission. The being that appeared on screen was unlike anything human imagination had conjured. Its form shifted between states of matter, a consciousness housed in what appeared to be living light. When it spoke, its words translated seamlessly into English, though the air seemed to vibrate with untold frequencies. "We are the Aetherian Collective," it announced, its voice carrying notes of both curiosity and dismissal. "We detected your primitive faster-than-light signatures and came to investigate. Your species has managed to achieve basic interstellar travel." "How?" "Quaint." Admiral James Harrison stepped forward, his weathered face betraying no emotion. "On behalf of Earth and the United Earth Coalition, we welcome you. I am Admiral Harrison, and with me is our chief scientist, Dr. Sarah Chen. We hope this meeting can mark the beginning of peaceful relations between our peoples." The Aetherian's form flickered with what might have been amusement. "Peace? What could your species possibly offer us? We have transcended physical form, mastered the manipulation of 11 dimensions, and unified consciousness across galaxies. Your civilization is still bound by crude matter and linear time." Dr. Chen felt her cheeks burn, but she kept her voice steady. "Every species starts somewhere. We've made remarkable progress in quantum mechanics and dimensional theory. Perhaps we could learn from each other." "Learn?" The Aetherian's form pulsed with condescending luminescence. "Your most advanced theories barely scratch the surface of universal truth. Your bodies are fragile, your lives fleeting, your understanding limited. We have watched 1,000 species like yours rise and fall. You are nothing special." Admiral Harrison's jaw tightened, but before he could respond, Dr. Chen stepped forward. "With respect, you're judging us by your standards alone. Humanity has overcome every obstacle in its path. We've survived extinction-level events, unified our planet, and reached for the stars despite our limitations. Our very fragility has driven us to excel." Bold words from a species that still dies from cellular degradation, the Aetherian remarked. "Your confidence is misplaced, but amusing. We will establish an observation post in your solar system. Perhaps in a few thousand years, you will have progressed enough to warrant real conversation." As the transmission ended, silence fell over the bridge. Admiral Harrison turned to Dr. Chen, his expression grim. "Well, that could have gone better." But Sarah wasn't listening. Her mind was already racing, connecting dots between recent quantum experiments and the Aetherian's casual mention of 11 dimensions. "Admiral," she said slowly, "I need full funding and resources for a new project. The Aetherians just gave us more information than they realized." "What are you thinking, Doctor?" She smiled, her eyes bright with determination. "They think our limitations define us. But they've forgotten something crucial about humans. We thrive on being told something's impossible." She pulled up a complex quantum equation on her tablet. "We've been approaching dimensional theory all wrong. But seeing their ship, hearing them speak, I know how we can make a leap they won't expect." Admiral Harrison studied her for a long moment before nodding. "Whatever you need. But make it quick. I have a feeling our new friends won't wait long to show us just how superior they think they are." As the Hawking began its journey back to Earth, Dr. Chen buried herself in calculations. The Aetherians had meant to discourage humanity, to put them in their place. Instead, they had given her the key to a technological revolution. Their mockery would be their undoing. In her quarters that night, She sent a message to her team back on Earth. Project Ascension is go. The impossible is just a challenge we haven't overcome yet. The Aetherians had laughed at human frailty, but they were about to learn what humans did best, turning limitations into strengths and defying every expectation. The race to prove them wrong had begun. 3 months after the Aetherian encounter, the underground facility beneath the Atacama Desert hummed with energy. Dr. Sarah Chen stood before a holographic display, her eyes tracking quantum probability curves that twisted like living things through the projected space. Behind her, a team of Earth's finest scientists worked at a fever pitch, their dedication matching her own. The 7th iteration is stable, announced Dr. Marcus Wong, his voice tight with excitement. Quantum coherence is holding at the macroscopic level. He looked up from his station, dark eyes bright with possibility. Sarah, I think we've done it. She allowed herself a small smile, remembering the Aetherians' dismissive words. The alien beings had expected humanity to accept their place in the cosmic hierarchy, to spend centuries slowly advancing along predicted technological paths. Instead, Project Ascension had taken their casual mentions of 11-dimensional space and turned them into the key to humanity's greatest leap forward. Begin the particle injection sequence, Sarah ordered, her voice steady despite her racing heart. Let's see if our theory holds. The test chamber at the center of the facility contained a prototype, a device no larger than a coffee table, but one that represented humanity's first true step into higher dimensional physics. As the particle accelerator powered up, readings began flooding their screens. Quantum field is stable, reported Dr. Yuki Tanaka, her fingers dancing across her console. Beginning dimensional fold. Now. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then the air inside the test chamber began to shimmer, not with heat, but with something more fundamental, the very fabric of space-time bending in ways that human eyes were never meant to see. My God, breathed Admiral Harrison, who had come to witness the test. What exactly are we looking at, Doctor? Sarah's eyes never left the readings. We're creating a controlled overlap between dimensional states. The Aetherians showed us it was possible when their ship seemed to exist in multiple states simultaneously. But while they evolved to perceive higher dimensions naturally, we're doing it through technology. She paused, allowing herself a moment of pride. We're not just theorizing about higher dimensions anymore, Admiral. We're reaching out and touching them. Alarms suddenly blared as energy readings spiked. The shimmer in the test chamber intensified, and for a brief moment, everyone present felt a strange sensation, as if they were simultaneously here and somewhere else, existing in multiple states at once. Containment holding, Yuki announced, though her voice shook slightly. But the effect is stronger than we anticipated. That's because we're not just observing higher dimensions, Sarah explained, her voice rising with excitement. We're learning to manipulate them. The Aetherians use their 11-dimensional understanding to traverse space. We're going to do something they never considered. We're going to use it to enhance our limited human form. The test continued for another hour, each measurement confirming what Sarah had theorized. Humanity couldn't naturally perceive or exist in higher dimensions like the Aetherians, but they could build technology to bridge that gap. And in doing so, they might achieve something unprecedented. Later that night, as the facility powered down for crucial maintenance, Sarah sat in her office reviewing the data. Admiral Harrison joined her, carrying 2 cups of coffee. "Level with me, Doctor," he said, setting 1 cup before her. "Can this really work? Can we actually build a ship that operates on these principles?" Sarah looked up from her calculations. "Admiral, we're going to do more than that. The Aetherians see dimensions as a means of travel, but they're missing the bigger picture. Higher dimensions aren't just paths through space. They're paths to transforming what we are." She pulled up a new simulation on her screen. "We're not just building a ship. We're building an extension of human consciousness itself. They called us primitive," Harrison mused, watching the simulation play out. "Said our bodies were fragile." "And they were right," Sarah acknowledged. But they fail to understand something fundamental about humanity. We don't accept our limitations. We transcend them. Our new ship won't just traverse higher dimensions. It will use them to enhance its crew. Every human weakness they mocked will become a strength. The Admiral studied her for a long moment. How long until we can begin construction? The prototype vessel can be ready in 8 months. We'll call it the Helios, humanity's first step into true dimensional transcendence. She smiled, remembering the Aetherians' condescending tone. They think we're nothing special. Admiral, let's show them just how wrong they are. As if in response to her words, the quantum readings from the test chamber pulsed once more, a reminder that humanity was on the verge of something revolutionary. The Aetherians had given them a glimpse of what was possible, never imagining that humans would do more than stare in awe. They were about to learn that humanity's greatest strength was its ability to turn understanding into innovation and limitations into stepping stones to greatness. The Helios hung in Earth's orbit like a dream made real. Its hull gleamed with an otherworldly sheen, the quantum-enhanced materials shifting subtly as they interacted with multiple dimensions simultaneously. Dr. Sarah Chen stood in the observation deck of the orbital station, watching as the final calibrations were performed on humanity's greatest achievement. Final systems check complete, Marcus announced through the comm. The dimensional drives are stable, and the consciousness integration pods are ready for testing. We've done it, Sarah. We've actually done it. Before she could respond, emergency alerts blared throughout the station. Admiral Harrison burst onto the observation deck, his face ashen. We've got incoming. Multiple Aetherian vessels just appeared at the edge of the solar system. They're heading straight for our colonies on Mars. Sarah's blood ran cold. They'd known this day might come, but not so soon. Not before they'd fully tested the Helios. What are their numbers? 5 capital ships, each bigger than anything we've ever built. Harrison's jaw clenched. They're broadcasting a message. They say they've determined humanity is developing along concerning vectors and needs to be restricted for the greater cosmic good. Through the observation window, Sarah could see Earth's defense fleet mobilizing, but she knew it wouldn't be enough. Conventional weapons would be useless against ships that could manipulate the 11 dimensions at will. There was only one option. The Helios isn't ready, she said, more to herself than Harrison. We haven't completed the consciousness integration trials. Using it now would be risky. Riskier than letting them destroy our colonies. Harrison countered. Doctor, if you've got a card to play, now's the time. Sarah closed her eyes for a moment, running calculations in her head. When she opened them, her decision was made. Get me a crew. Volunteers only. They need to understand. What we're attempting has never been done before. The consciousness integration pods will link them directly with the ship's dimensional drives. If it works, they'll experience reality in ways no human ever has. If it fails, I volunteer, came a voice from the doorway. Yuki Tanaka stood there, her usual calm demeanor hardened with determination. I helped build the integration systems. I should be there when we test them. Marcus's voice crackled over the comm. Count me in too. Someone needs to keep the quantum matrices stable. Within an hour, they had their crew, 12 volunteers, each expert in their field, each understanding the risks they faced. As they boarded the Helios, Sarah felt the weight of responsibility pressing down on her. These people were trusting her theory with their lives. The consciousness integration pods looked like high-tech medical beds, each surrounded by a web of quantum sensors and neural interfaces. As the crew took their positions, Sarah addressed them one final time. What we're about to attempt goes beyond normal spaceflight, she explained. When the pods activate, your consciousness will merge partially with the ship's systems. You'll perceive multiple dimensions simultaneously. It will be disorienting at first, maybe even frightening. But remember, this is what humans do. We adapt. We overcome. We transform our limitations into strengths. The Aetherian fleet was halfway to Mars now. Reports were coming in of panic in the colonies, of desperate evacuation attempts. Sarah took her place in the central pod, feeling the neural interfaces connect. All pods secure, Marcus reported from his station. Quantum matrices at full power. Dimensional drives spinning up. Integration sequence beginning. Yuki added. Consciousness merge in 3, 2, 1. The universe exploded. Sarah felt her awareness expand in ways she couldn't have imagined. She could see the quantum fields that permeated space, could perceive the higher dimensions that the Aetherians used so casually. But more than that, she could feel the presence of her crew, their consciousness linked together through the ship's systems, creating something entirely new. The Helios came alive around them, not just as a vessel, but as an extension of their merged consciousness. Through the ship's sensors, they could perceive reality in 11 dimensions, just as the Aetherians did. But they brought something the Aetherians had never considered: human intuition, human creativity, and human determination. Dimensional drives at full power, Marcus reported, his voice resonating both through the comm and through their shared consciousness. Ready to engage. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. The Aetherians had mocked human frailty, had seen their physical form as a limitation. They were about to learn that humanity's greatest gift was its ability to transform weaknesses into strengths. Helm, plot intercept course with the Aetherian fleet, she ordered. Let's show them what humanity can really do. The Helios moved, not through normal space, but through the higher dimensions themselves. They would reach Mars long before the Aetherian fleet, and when they arrived, they would demonstrate that humanity had not only mastered higher dimensional travel, but had done something unprecedented with it. The real test was about to begin, and the fate of human civilization hung in the balance. But as the Helios accelerated through dimensions the human mind was never meant to perceive, Sarah felt no fear. The Aetherians had made a crucial mistake in dismissing humanity's potential. They were about to learn just how costly that mistake would be. The Martian colonies gleamed under the red planet's dim sunlight as the Helios emerged from its dimensional transit. Through the ship's enhanced sensors, the crew perceived reality in ways that defied conventional understanding. They could see the quantum threads that bound space-time together, the ripples of probability that flowed through higher dimensions. The Aetherian fleet appeared moments later, their massive ships distorting space-time as they decelerated. Sarah could sense their surprise at finding the Helios already there, waiting for them. "They're hailing us," Yuki announced, her consciousness intertwined with the ship's communications array. The familiar form of an Aetherian commander materialized on their viewing field, its luminescent body pulsing with what seemed like irritation. "This is unexpected. Your species has managed to construct a vessel capable of dimensional transit. Primitive, but impressive for your level of development. However, this changes nothing. Your colonies have shown concerning signs of advancement. We cannot risk allowing your unpredictable species to develop unchecked." Sarah responded, her voice carrying the combined authority of both herself and the Helios crew. "We gave you no cause for this aggression. We've shown no hostility toward your people. Your very nature is cause enough." The Aetherian replied, "Your species adapts too quickly, evolves too unpredictably. You take risks that no rational species would consider. Case in point, we can detect the quantum signatures of your vessel. You've merged your consciousness with your ship's systems, haven't you? Reckless, dangerous. This only proves our point." Through their shared consciousness, Sarah felt her crew's determination harden. They had trained for this, had prepared for the possibility of conflict. But what the Aetherians couldn't understand was that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their technology. It was their perspective. "Final warning," the Aetherian announced. "Stand down and accept our guidance or be eliminated. Your dimensional vessel is impressive, but you face 5 ships with technologies perfected over millennia." Sarah allowed herself a small smile. "You still don't understand what makes humans different, do you? We don't just adapt technology. We reimagine it. Marcus, show them what we mean." The Helios dimensional drives hummed to life, but not in the way the Etherians expected. Instead of moving through dimensions, they began to fold them, creating quantum interference patterns that rippled through space-time itself. Impossible, the Etherian commander stated, its form flickering with what might have been concern. You cannot manipulate dimensional fields with such crude technology. Actually, Sarah replied, we can do much more than that. You see, while you evolved to perceive higher dimensions naturally, we had to approach them differently. We had to understand them completely to interact with them at all. And in doing so, we learned things you never considered. The Helios moved, not through space, but through probability itself. The consciousness integration pods allowed the crew to perceive and react to changes in 11-dimensional space instantaneously, their combined human intuition guiding the ship in ways no artificial system could match. The Etherian fleet opened fire, their weapons bending space-time to deliver devastating energy directly to their targets. But the Helios wasn't where their calculations said it should be. It existed in a quantum superposition, guided by human consciousness operating on multiple dimensional levels simultaneously. Target their dimensional drive nodes, Sarah ordered, feeling her crew respond as one. The Helios's weapons weren't based on conventional energy or matter. They were focused beams of quantum probability, collapsing dimensional fields in precise patterns. The first Etherian ship's defenses failed spectacularly, its carefully maintained dimensional balance disrupted by attacks it never expected to face. The second and third ships tried to compensate, but they were fighting an enemy that approached space-time fundamentally differently than anything they had encountered before. How are you doing this? The Etherian commander demanded, its form now pulsing with unmistakable alarm. Your technology is barely a generation old. That's exactly why we can do it, Sarah explained, even as the Helios continued its intricate dance through probability space. We don't have centuries of preconceptions about how dimensional technology should work. We looked at the fundamental laws of reality and asked, what if? That's humanity's greatest strength. We imagine possibilities that others consider impossible, and then we make them real. The battle reached its crescendo as the Helios executed a maneuver that should have been impossible. It used its dimensional drives to create a cascade of quantum interference patterns, effectively trapping the Etherian fleet in a web of collapsed probability fields. Their ships, so advanced and powerful, found themselves unable to navigate through dimensions they could no longer fully access. Stand down, Sarah commanded, or we'll be forced to demonstrate exactly how well we understand dimensional physics. Through their shared consciousness, the crew of the Helios could sense the Etherians' shock and disbelief. These primitive humans hadn't just learned to access higher dimensions, they had developed an entirely new way of manipulating them, one that even the Etherians' advanced sensors struggled to comprehend. The Etherian commander's form flickered one final time before stabilizing. We accept your terms. This conflict is concluded. There was a pause, and when it spoke again, there was something new in its multi-tone voice, respect. Perhaps we have something to learn from your species after all. In the weeks following the confrontation at Mars, the orbital shipyards above Earth buzzed with activity. The Helios had proved more successful than anyone could have imagined, and now humanity was eager to build upon that success. But as Dr. Sarah Chen watched construction begin on a second-dimensional vessel, her mind was occupied with deeper concerns. The Etherian delegation would be arriving soon, and this time they were coming not as superior beings deigning to observe a primitive species, but as equals seeking understanding. Their entire worldview had been shaken by what the Helios had demonstrated. Still hard to believe, isn't it? Marcus asked, joining her at the observation window. After their shared experience in the consciousness integration pods, the Helios crew maintained a subtle connection, a ghost of their merged awareness that lingered even outside the ship. That we succeeded, Sarah smiled, or that we forced one of the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy to rethink their assumptions. Both, he admitted. You know, they've been sending us data about their dimensional technology. Their theories are incredible, millennia of accumulated knowledge. But they keep asking questions about our approach, trying to understand how we saw possibilities they missed. The observation deck's door slid open, admitting Admiral Harrison and their expected guests. The Aetherian representatives no longer projected the dismissive superiority they had shown in their first encounter. Their luminescent forms pulsed with what Sarah had learned to recognize as intense curiosity. Dr. Chen, the lead Aetherian, greeted her, its multi-tone voice resonating with new harmonics. We have reviewed your papers on consciousness integration and dimensional probability manipulation. Your theories, they challenge everything we thought we knew about higher dimensional physics. Sarah nodded respectfully. Just as your existence challenged everything we thought we knew about life and consciousness. The difference is, we were willing to learn from those challenges. Yes, the Aetherian agreed, its form shifting thoughtfully. That is why we are here. We have existed for so long, understood so much, that we stopped questioning, stopped imagining new possibilities. We saw your physical form as a limitation, your brief lifespans as a weakness. We were wrong. The very things you saw as our weaknesses drove us to innovate, Sarah explained. Because we can't naturally perceive higher dimensions, we had to understand them completely to interact with them at all. Because our lives are short, we're driven to accomplish more in the time we have. Our physical limitations push us to extend ourselves through technology. The second Aetherian moved forward, its colors shifting in what they now recognized as excitement. Your consciousness integration technology, it is unlike anything we have encountered. You didn't just build a ship that could travel through dimensions. You found a way to extend human consciousness itself, to allow your minds to perceive and interact with higher dimensions directly, while still maintaining our human perspective, Marcus added. That's what makes it work. We're not trying to transcend our humanity. We're embracing it, using it as a lens to understand reality in new ways. Admiral Harrison, who had been quietly observing, finally spoke up. So where does this leave us? Our peoples got off to a rather rocky start. The lead Aetherian's form pulsed with what might have been amusement. Indeed, we came to restrict your development, believing your species to be dangerously unpredictable. Instead, you showed us that unpredictability, properly channeled, can lead to extraordinary breakthroughs. We propose an exchange of knowledge. There is much we can learn from each other. Sarah felt a surge of excitement at the possibilities. The consciousness integration technology could be just the beginning. With your understanding of higher dimensions and our fresh perspective, imagine what we could discover together. Already, the second Aetherian noted, your theories are causing debate and discussion throughout the collective. Some of our younger members are particularly excited about exploring consciousness integration. They believe it could help us reconnect with aspects of existence we had forgotten in our transcendence. As the discussions continued, Sarah found herself reflecting on how far they had come. The Aetherians had arrived expecting to find primitives playing with forces beyond their comprehension. Instead, they had found equals who approached those same forces from an entirely different angle, seeing possibilities that millennia of advanced development had overlooked. Later, as she prepared to board the Helios for another test flight, Sarah paused to watch Earth rotating below. The ship hummed with potential, its quantum systems ready to fold space and time in ways that even the Aetherians were still trying to understand. But its true power lay not in its technology, but in what it represented. Humanity's unique gift for turning limitations into advantages, for seeing possibilities where others saw only barriers. The Aetherians had learned an important lesson. True advancement came not from transcending one's nature, but from embracing it, understanding it, and using it to forge new paths forward. As humanity prepared to take its place among the stars, they carried with them not just their remarkable technology, but their uniquely human perspective, their creativity, their determination, and their endless capacity to imagine new possibilities. The stars beckoned, and this time, humanity would explore them not as primitives struggling to catch up, but as pioneers blazing new trails through the higher dimensions. The Etherians had mocked their frailty, but in doing so, they had failed to understand an essential truth. It was precisely those limitations that made humanity's achievements so remarkable and their potential so boundless.